This is Barnstable Today for Wednesday, March 18th. Welcome aboard. I'm Mark Mumford, and we want to remind you right at the top that the meetings we cover are available on demand at the town's website, town.barnstable.ma.us.
The Barnstable Municipal Airport Terminal project is encountering some financial turbulence. That's our lead story. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kevin Friel.
On Monday's edition of BT, new airport manager Bud Brialt spoke of slowing the terminal project down to make sure the finances are in order.
The new airport manager, after studying the numbers, sees the potential for being over budget by several $1 million.
At yesterday's Town Hall news conference, Town Manager John Klim was asked for his reaction to the airport manager's observations.
I have an upcoming meeting with the new manager, Bud Brialt, who is going to brief me. I have had some brief conversations with him and do really applaud his efforts in taking a second look at the whole project. Speculation is that if we were to go ahead, there would be a shortfall, and you obviously want to find out that before you start a project, not during or after. So I applaud Bud's careful evaluation and analysis of this project. The issues that I raised several weeks ago remain, though. We haven't received any documentation that the commitment from the Mass Aeronautics Commission or the FAA are ironclad, and that would have to be the case for me to offer my support for the project. And in addition, the Council in September of 2007 passed a resolution that had some 19 or 20 conditions, some of which I know haven't been met yet. So the concern I was raising 2 or 3 weeks ago was that people, I think, were getting the impression that we're further ahead on this project than we are. And I have received an email from the chair of the Airport Commission saying that he's totally understanding what my concerns were and that he's working to try to get the documentation that we would need to see. And as I mentioned, I think Bud is doing a thoughtful job for the Airport Commission and for the town in reviewing the projects to make sure that it doesn't go over budget.
Town Council President Fred Chirigotis was also asked to chime in on the airport terminal project.
The financial plan is an important part of the whole process, and the council is very concerned to make sure that there's a financial plan that works. So I think that news that there was that much of a shortfall would be a problem. So right now what we've been talking about is the access road and the funding for that, and the planning for that, which is one of the conditions that was initially suggested or demanded by the council. So we've been following in an orderly process. If the whole project is has that kind of a financial problem, who knows where we go from here.
The press conferences are also available on demand at the town's website, town.barnstable.ma.us.
Meanwhile, the town council has a hefty agenda facing them tomorrow evening, and we caught up with Assistant Town Manager Tom Lynch for a preview.
We'd like to thank Tom Lynch for joining us again on Barnstable Today. Today's discussion is about this upcoming town council meeting for March 19th. Tom, getting right into things, the town council will hear a strategic plan discussion. Could you tell us about that?
Well, at the beginning of the meeting, they will be looking back over their strategic plan, which has already been completed. It's in a draft form, and I think that they've set various priorities, and I think they'll take a look at that and then morph into how that impacts the budget policy. And under the budget policy, there are issues like the 60-40 split on local aid between the schools and the municipal government, using public roads money, setting aside a certain amount for public roads money. And one of the issues had been that they would talk about reordering some of the priorities, and what they may do rather than spend a lot of time on that is just say, we give equal weight to all of these issues, and that way you can justify why the funding might fall in a particular area.
The fiscal year 2010 is a topic that you guys discuss almost on a weekly occurrence. Who are those meetings with, and what is the outline for the 2010 looking like?
Well, internally, it's a question of working with Mark Milne, the budget director, finance director, Bob O'Brien, the budget director, John Klim, myself, the town manager, myself, and then we also have the various department heads come in on a regular basis, meaning the police chief and others. So we look at all possible scenarios, line by line through that budget, ways that we can revise services or areas for cutting, and it's a very fluid process. But we're kind of coming down to it because we're going to be presenting that budget in the middle of April.
And then as we get into the agenda for the school council, the old business items that have come up again are the parking enforcement expense for the purchase of some smart cars. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, that's been modified a little bit in that when we go out for bid, we'd need to request for certain specs of what car we were seeking. So rather than identify a specific vehicle, I think they've amended that to just say we're going to go out and purchase a vehicle that gets X number of miles and such and such performance. So we're hoping that that'll move forward this time. So they'll have vehicles that they can do the parking enforcement with.
And then we move into an amendment to the general ordinance from the DPW.
One is for the water supply collection process. Now that the town has taken over the Barnstable Water Company, they're still cleaning up some of the past language, and one is so that they can go back and do certain collection efforts, and the other is to look to transfer some money so that they can begin the design process on a new water tower.
Unfortunately, while the town lost a good friend and colleague in David Cole, who was the head of the Enoch Cobb Trust for the school department, there is an item on the agenda under the new business that may be acted upon, correct?
Yes, the town council has the appointment process for the new trustee, and originally I think they thought they could jump right to that, but we're finding that it's somewhat of a complicated process and needs approval at the Attorney General level and through the courts and Attorney General. So the hope is that we can appoint an interim person, and the person that's being recommended is Deborah Blanchette, who's our town treasurer. She keeps, naturally watches over all of our investments, and this would at least safeguard the fundings and hopefully allow for certain expenditures that have been authorized to get through the spring season with the field trips and stuff the school is going to do. So this is a very important appointment, and you're right, we're going to miss David Cole. He was such a committed public servant and did such a good job with that trust. So the next appointment is going to be equally important. I think the council wants to take its due diligence in getting it done.
And not to say that there isn't any other issues that would be going forward on the agenda, but there are a lot of items that will be referred to public hearings at this agenda.
Yes, we have sign codes and other capital issues and water supply issues that are in there. And not only postponed, some of those will be moved to public hearing for April 2nd, but we have a whole host of capital improvement projects that'll go on to the April 16th agenda. And this is the actual capital improvement plan that the town works on. We have millions and millions of dollars of backed up capital projects. Here we have about 8 projects that will be coming forward.
There are a couple of meetings on the town calendar this evening, starting with the Hyannis Main Street Waterfront Historic District Committee in the Selectmen's Conference Room at 7 o'clock.
Then at 7:30, it's the Shellfish Committee gathering in the MEA Conference Room off Finney's Lane.
Thanks for joining us today. I'm Kevin Friel.
We'll meet you right back here tomorrow. I'm Mark Mumford.